All right. Good evening. I would like to call the August 3rd, 2026 Franklin Township Board of Supervisors Workshop Meeting to order at 7 o'clock. In attendance are Chair of me, Donna Day, Vice Chair Jim Johnston, Supervisors Dawn Dowling, Antia Consorto, and Nancy Widows. Also in attendance are our Township Operation Manager Jeff Eastburn and our Secretary Stacy Hollis, and there are six members of the public. Okay, we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. All right. So we're going to start the meeting with public comments. Just remind everyone we welcome public comments relating on tonight's action items, and that has to do with the interim agreement for the fire companies, the budget for the fire companies, and also a Celebration 250 event. If you must state your name and whether you're a resident of the township or a non-resident taxpayer. If you don't identify yourself, your comments will not be included in the official minutes. Each resident or non-resident taxpayer will have one opportunity to make a public comment. Comments should be directed to the board, not to an individual board member or member of the staff. The board will refrain from addressing your comments as they're being expressed, but instead, at their discretion, may comment at the end of the public comment section or at the time the action item is discussed. Our silence should not be viewed as an agreement with what's being said. So let me open the meeting to public comments. Anyone?
Good afternoon or evening. My name is Mary Cressman. I'm a township resident and taxpayer. And I'd like to first thank the board for having this meeting and putting the information out on the website with the budget and all of this. I think this is a very important event that's happening in our community. And I don't think that enough people are aware of what the impact is going to be. I will state, and Donna knows, I'm a former CFO. I'm a retired CFO. And so numbers to me tell the entire story. And when they first brought this up, holler if I'm going too long, I had great concerns about the amount of money that was being spent with the fire company, and not only the amount of money that was being spent, but how much funding they had in reserve. And I addressed that at a public meeting a couple months ago. I received the 2027 proposed budget off of the website and started analyzing the numbers, and I still have great concerns about it. One of my biggest concerns is that they are basing their 2027 budget on 25 and 26 budgets. They are not basing it on actual costs. There are also extensive increase in payroll costs. They have stated that they're going from a volunteer to a career. And they do have about 118 employees between the two firehouses already. So I haven't calculated out. It's an average of, I think, 15 firefighters per shift that are required by the National Firefighters Association. So I haven't worked that out because I was running out of time. But with 118 employees, even if a lot of those are part-time employees, I can't see where their payroll numbers should have huge increases. And yet their proposed budget has a 20 to 25% payroll increase from, and I want to clarify, I've looked at their tax returns, their filings. Their 990 filing forms for 2024, their payroll costs were 2.3 million. They are now asking for 4.1 million. That is a huge increase over 2 years. And I'm thankful the board is having this discussion and being very open and everything about it. But we really need to ask questions and dig into the numbers before any kind of agreement is assigned. And I feel that the board is looking at that and working towards that. I will state also, I did comparisons to other fire companies. We 80% of their calls are EMS calls, which in my view should sort of be separated out from the fire calls, because EMS, they bill out through the insurance companies. There's all sorts of other funding with EMS. And in looking at the numbers, it appears that with it all combined, the budgets are supporting a heavier weight on the fire company than the EMS. And I think that needs to be dug into, and I'm hoping, and I would ask that the board and the people involved in forming this agreement have multiple public meetings and get the importance of this information out to the public so that people can understand what is happening. I get that we may have to have a tax increase. I'm not sitting here, I don't want one, but I'm not sitting here saying that we should not have a solid EMS and fire company across the board. But we have to be fiscally responsible. We have a lot of seniors in our area that are on fixed income. We have a lot of young families that are in our area that struggle to just pay their mortgages these days and stuff. And I think that it is the government's responsibility, the board's responsibility, and all the other boards of the 10 other municipalities involved to really hold the fire companies accountable for every dollar they spend, just like you're held accountable for every dollar you spend. I will make 2 more comments about this. We're looking at a budget for the general fund. I have not seen, I don't know if the board has asked, and I would ask the board to look into it. What's their relief association fund balance? What kind of assets are they sitting on? I can tell from their 990s that they're sitting with $3 to $4 million in cash on a $4 million budget, which is pretty good return. I would also ask what kind of capital improvements budgets they have, because all of those budgets are kept separately and they're only showing you one piece of the picture. So I appreciate the time and thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Any other public comments? All right, I'm going to move on to the meeting. Let me just give the the public and the board, though the board probably knows most of this already, just a sense of where we're at with the fire companies. So NT and I have been fortunate enough to be the representatives of the board to meet with the meet with other municipalities to talk about governance model. So we've talked about that activity going on. We've talked about some governance models that were being considered. And at the last meeting that we had, there was a decision to make to say, let's just take a breath and let's put together an interim agreement. What can we do in the next 2 years in terms of a governance proposal to manage the integrated fire companies, so we can have a more in-depth discussion about the authority model or commission model or whatever model we want to go with. So the first item in tonight's meeting for the board, and of course we'll get public comments at the end of the meeting, is to talk about what this interim agreement would look like. The vision would be that it would be for 2 years. The vision also is that each of the municipalities, remember there's 10 of us, would go back to their boards and review the concept of what this thing looks like, get some feedback on an agreement, what things we may want as a board to have in there, what things we may want to take out of what's already currently in there, and then feed that back to a meeting that we're having on Thursday. So that's going to happen. And then once we get the comments, they'll incorporate it into a document. We'll bring it back to the board because you haven't agreed to anything yet. Right now, you're just commenting. And then we'll bring it back, and hopefully your comments will be included, and we'll have another conversation to see if we can agree to it or not. If not, we'll do another round. So that's a thing of work that's going on that has to do, once again, with the municipalities, the consolidated fire companies, and figuring out what the governance model is. But it's just an attempt to do, as I said, an interim agreement, because it was too much. We still don't even have our arms around what an authority model would look like. What's the infrastructure? What's the cost? What's a commission model look like? So we're going to continue to do that work, but we are going to do this interim agreement. We're also going to bring someone in from PSATs who's going to give us just another view in terms of what these governance months. So I just want to give you the sense that that is being worked on. And we're going to have the first part of tonight's meeting with the board is to go over a draft interim agreement. Each of us had it in our books. We're going to go through it. It's going to be on the screen and we can go through it together and add comments as you see fit. So that's one piece of work for tonight. The second piece of work for tonight is to look at the budget that the fire companies have given us. This is what Mary commented on. I'm gonna I made a couple slides. It doesn't have new information. It just has areas that I want to bring your attention to. And I'll do that with the board. And then we'll put the budget up on the screen and we can go through it line by line and get your comments. And the idea of that is, NT and I will go to a meeting tomorrow night.
Wednesday night.
Well, you're right. Tuesday, we're off. You're right. Wednesday night. And that meeting will be at the Avondale Fire Company at 5 o'clock. And we're going to go and then we'll talk about the budget. And so that will be an opportunity to take comments back from the board, comments back from, like you just made, Mary, comments back from the public to that meeting, and to have a conversation. Okay. Go ahead.
Is that a public meeting?
I don't think so. It wasn't
don't
advertised as such or,
As
yeah.
far as I know, it was not advertised as such. It was a municipalities and fire company meeting.
All right.
Sorry.
So-
It was a municipality and fire company meeting. I don't think it's open. I can go back real quick through my email and look if you want.
No, he never said it was public.
I don't think they ever
Yeah.
said it was.
I
public.
never said it was. All I'm telling you, it's the meeting is on Wednesday night, 5 o'clock at the Avondale.
I said
Fire
Medic
Company.
94's meeting last week was open to the public,
It was, oh, I don't know.
but I don't know about this one. We can double check.
Okay, all right, so and then the second thing we're gonna do is gonna look at the budget. And the third thing, which is gonna be a lot more fun, is we're gonna look at it's doing great.
Yeah.
The event that we're gonna have in September, this is something that Nancy's leading on, so that should be a lot more fun. And then we'll circle back to some more public comments. So, all right, so let us get started. I want to go to the document. If you stop me if I'm going too fast, but this interim agreement. The idea is to have this for 2 years. So you see it's a short-term intermunicipal fire and EMS service agreement. I hope you guys can see it on the screen. It talks about the formation. I'm moving down to the formation number 1. So the formation of an oversight committee. It would be known. It starts off by saying the fire company. So we're oversighting the Consolidated Fire Company. That's the Southern Chester County Fire Rescue and Oversight. And so this is the committee that would be formed for a short period of time to provide oversight for funding and support. Okay, that's the first one. And then number 2, the purpose is to provide, same words again, oversight, support, and funding for delivery, rescue, basic life support, EMS, hazardous material, and related public safety services. Stop me if you want to comment on anything, please.
Donna,
Go ahead.
a quick question
Mhm.
before you keep going. This proposed agreement is already agreed upon by the municipalities, or is it just Franklin Township's proposal?
Yeah, so what we had the last meeting with the municipalities.
Right.
We had a gentleman there who said, I've done a million of these. So he asked us a few questions, like how many representatives do you want? How do you want them? So we did some general discussion. And as he was doing that, he was like typing it into a template he had. So your direct answer is, this was created by the people that are running this. Yes, so for the municipalities. So this is not Franklin Township's. Okay.
I just wanted everybody that's listening to understand that.
Right, we didn't create it,
Okay.
but we are commenting on it, just like every other municipality is going to comment on. Okay, and like I said, this is something he said he's had a template and just kind of filling in the blanks. So the power and response of the committee is follow, same words again, provide oversight, support, funding to the Southern Chester County Fire Rescue for the delivery of 911 fire rescue, basic life support, EMS, hazardous materials, and related public safety services. All right, so that's what we're there for. I'm going to move to number 4 unless you stop me. The second one is a committee shall be in effect upon the majority of municipalities adopting the resolution or enabling the ordinance creating the committee. So this is where I would like to just an idea. I don't know if I'd want the majority. I would like to suggest, if you guys are in agreement, that we go for 80% of the municipalities adopting the resolution. Does anyone have a strong pushback to that, or? Okay, so I was going to
You're going from a simple majority to
80%.
a majority.
Yeah, and 80%.
Yes.
Should agree to this. And then the committee should be are you, so Stacy, you have to stop me if I go too fast. So, and then the B, we just said they no longer than December, so that's that 2-year. Okay. So now I'm going to go to 5, admission to the committee. All municipalities are currently served by the Avondale Fire Company Number 1, Avondale Fire Company Number 1 EMS Division, and the West Grove Fire Company shall be members of the committee upon adoption of the enabling ordinance creating the committee. And what we have agreed to, or we suggested, was that once we go through all the process and we get something that you guys are happy with and the other boards are happy, we will bring it back here and we'll pass an ordinance or resolution to make it official. Okay, it's not going to happen without you guys being totally on top of it. Okay. Anyway, we're still good? Okay, now I'm going to go to number 6. Okay, yes. So A, the committee shall be comprised of 1 voting member from each participating municipality for the total of 10 voting members. Each municipality will also have 1 alternate member, and that alternate member shall fill in for the primary voting member in their absence and may attend all meetings. So the idea is to have both members attend. One will be a voting member, and the other one will be there in case the initial one can't make it, or if just so we can back each other up. So that's B. C, the municipal representative shall be either an elected or appointed person. So it's up to the board to figure that out. So it can be an elected board member or it could be an appointed person. The board would make that decision. Each municipality has the ability to pick their own voting member and alternate member. Each voting member shall have 1 vote. In the case of a conflict of any type, the voting member or alternate member shall recuse themselves from discussion and vote if necessary. So that's if there's a conflict of interest. The voting member and alternate member shall be selected by either resolution or motion from the floor of each municipality's regular monthly business meeting. Okay, go ahead. You go.
Should that read conflict of interest?
In case of a conflict of any type, I think
What does that even mean?
I take that to be a conflict of interest. In case of a conflict of.
We should say
The
that.
mic's not on.
Okay.
Sorry.
I would suggest we make it conflict of interest.
Or any other type or something.
Well,
I don't know what they refer to.
yeah, I think the initial concept here was that there was a conflict with the voting member. Like maybe if the board,
Between the two.
from each municipality, right? If the board voted 4-1 and the voting member was the one that was against it, then either the alternate would go or you have to, my other comment on F is each municipality should have some vote, right? Even if one is recused. In F, if you recuse yourself from the vote, somebody has to vote for the township.
That would be.
Yeah, but it doesn't say that. It should be explicit.
So,
What is it meant to achieve? That's not clear to me.
to the conflict, do you want me to just ask a question or do you want to propose some wording?
I would suggest conflict of interest unless they can explain what else they're referring to, because it could be that the voting member and the alternate disagree with each other.
It says,
And
sorry,
then is
it
that,
says conflict of any type. That would include conflict of interest, wouldn't it? So leave it,
yeah, but what else could it be?
like I just gave one example. Like
Well,
Donna
depending
doesn't,
what that
Donna
word-
doesn't want something and we all do. So Donna, right, there's a conflict.
Is that what that means?
Yeah, I could.
So if I agree with you guys, but Donna doesn't, and she's the voting member, she would have to recuse herself and let me make the vote to support the 4 of us that agreed.
Correct. That's one example. Right.
I'm gonna ask for some clarity, but I'm also gonna
Yes.
take into mind what it's about. It could be a conflict between us,
Mm-hmm.
or it could be a
Exactly.
conflict of interest,
Right.
or it could, yes. So we just want some clarity. Okay. Okay, that's good. All right, good. The voting member and I'm to G, the voting member and alternate member shall be selected by either resolution or motion from the floor of each municipality's regular monthly business. Okay, we did that already, right? At the first meeting of the committee, the voting member present shall select the following leadership positions, including chairperson, vice chairperson, and secretary. The leadership positions shall be selected by a simple majority vote from the seated committee members. Okay. All right. Now, meetings, the committee shall meet monthly. So this is one where do we really need to meet monthly? Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I left my mic on, but while it's on.
Are you
I
in
have
back?
a question.
Okay.
This is from among the 10 representatives. They are going to elect from among themselves.
That's my understanding.
So it couldn't be like a fire chief or,
Oh, you mean the chair and co-chair? No, so it would be between the 10 voting members, yeah.
So you have a board and this would be the leadership for the board. Meetings, and my proposal would be to meet bi-monthly as opposed to monthly. Does anybody, do you care? Okay. And the committee, the meeting date shall be determined from the time to time by committee. I don't know what, I guess.
that just means at the end of the meeting.
You'll
you
figure it out.
Determine the next meeting.
Okay. All committee members shall be considered, yes, and this is, my girl got this. Good job, Antia. All committee meetings shall be considered public meetings. Good job there, Antia. Term of committee membership. The term of committee membership shall be 2 years at the end of the, or I guess at the end of, be 2 years at the end of the elected official's term of office or at the transition to the final governance structure was anticipated to be no later than December 31st, 2028. So I just make sure everybody's okay with that. Okay. Now I'm into 9A. As a committee member, there's an expectation of participation. All committee voting members and alternates are encouraged to attend every meeting to stay informed. Then we go to bylaws. I'm 10 now. The committee shall establish a basic set of bylaws subject to the approval of, I was going to go with 80% again of voting members. Is good by me. Okay, and then B, no provision of said bylaws shall be inconsistent with the terms of this agreement. I think that's just legal stuff. Operating procedure guide. If necessary, the committee should have the ability to establish basic operating procedure guidelines subject to the approval of a simple majority of the voting members. I mean, I'm fine with that unless you want 80%, but I was fine with operating procedure shouldn't be too complicated. Okay, now I'm into 12. And the first one, just want to see what you think. It says committee members shall provide a written monthly report to their respective municipalities. I don't know if every monthly meeting, we need to get a report. I think it would be our job to get back to you as needed. And probably in the early days, we'd probably be talking about this at every meeting, but I don't know if that necessarily needs to have a written monthly report. Do you?
I don't know that it needs to be a written report. I think it just becomes a line item in our committee's reports. So that at every monthly meeting, it becomes another committee, just like, the historical committee or, whatever, you add in the fire and EMS committee.
Can we say?
And you just have a verbal report. You don't necessarily need to have a written report.
So can we say committee members will provide updates to their municipalities as necessary?
Right.
I mean, I don't know if we have they're prescribing a monthly written report as opposed to good practice would be, we would do it as needed.
or after each meeting, maybe. I'd like Antia's idea of putting it on the regular agenda.
Yep.
I mean, if there's been a meeting and there's something to report, fine. If not, we just skip the agenda item.
Remember, this is just for the 2 years that we're developing the thing. So it might be good to have it every month. And if there's no activity, just say no activity this month.
That's what he's saying. So
We're buying it.
if they decide to do the bi-monthly, because again, you and I are just one vote out of 10. Even if they do that, it just becomes a line item in our agenda. And if there's no report, you just say there's no report. Just like we do with the historical committee or the planning commission or whatever.
So can I, so can I change this to read, committee members shall provide an update to their respective municipalities, post every meeting, post as needed, or? I mean, we're gonna do it anyways. I mean, you can't, I love the talk, so it's not gonna be
I
a
feel
problem.
like it's worded this way for municipalities that don't perhaps operate the way we do.
So can I get rid of written monthly reports shall provide an update to their respective municipalities? Okay. Okay, an update
But not monthly. We're not buying bi-monthly.
to their respective,
Whatever the.
Okay.
whatever the meeting requests. So if it's a monthly meeting, we'll keep monthly. If it's not, it's every bi-monthly. Okay, but it depends on what they agree higher up. Is that, we'll go that way.
Whatever.
Whatever the big, okay. Okay, now, B. Southern Chestnut, what do they have to do? This we thought was important. They shall provide, a quarterly report to the committee. Okay, so I would like it to be 2 weeks prior to the scheduled meeting, because I'd like us to have a chance to review it. So they should provide a quarterly report to us.
Yeah. Is that meant to be a financial report or?
I think we should talk about that. So I was going to add in there, I was going to have in there, I have described content, I was going to go back as a comment, but I would like to see what their budget to date is, so what their income is, what their expenses, and what their call volume is, right? So,
Under B, you're gonna have subcategories.
describe content, yeah, and then we should agree to content at the meeting. But I would like to see what actual money they're spending. Okay, and then Southern Chester County shall provide an annual.
Those as bullet points underneath item B.
Yeah, so just say they may just say content of, describe content of the report.
Content to include.
And then I can add, I like what you're saying, and then we can get them to tell us content to accrue. Yeah, that's good. Just write content to include, include. And then we'll fill it in. Okay. All right. And then Southern Chester County Fire Rescue shall provide an annual report to the committee for the March meeting. That's as long, assuming we meet bi-monthly. For we wouldn't be meeting February, we would meet January, and then we would meet March.
Right, if it's bi-monthly.
Yeah, so it'd be March. Assuming, okay, it all assumes that they agree to bi-monthly. If they don't agree to bi-monthly, then it's February, right? And I want it 2 weeks before the meeting. And Stacey, if you don't get this, it's fine, I can add it in myself. And I would like to suggest, along with a strategic 5-year plan, including capital investment. So the annual report should be what their budget is, what they spent, but also a strategic 5-year plan that includes their capital investment. Okay.
And reserve.
And reserve fund, I kind of like that. Okay. So that's what they have to give us in terms of reporting requirements. But then we get into number 13, budget preparation and approval. And so what we would be asking, work with me on this one, the Southern Chester County Fire Rescue should provide a draft budget to the committee 2 weeks prior to the August meeting. 2 weeks prior to the July meeting. Right.
I would say instead of August.
It's so, because remember, we're meeting every month, assuming we're meeting every month. If we're meeting every month, then it can be August. And the draft and budget should include income expenses for the current year and then estimated income expenses for the following year. Okay. So that's the draft budget. Go ahead.
Do they have a policy, do you know, in the fire departments about what the reserve fund is for and how it's to be used? I'd like to see that.
Stock's growing.
No, so Mary, I'm going to call you out again. I didn't even know there was a reserve fund until Mary alerted us at a previous meeting. And then Melissa alerted us that there was a audit report. And lo and behold, in the audit report, they talked about millions of dollars in cash.
Yeah.
And so this is really something that we need to bring up at these meetings to say, this needs to be more transparent. It's nice to have an operation budget, and I'm thrilled, and we'll talk about that soon, but I'm thrilled that they gave that to us. I'm thrilled that it's a starting point. But we need to see everything. We need to see operation. We need to see reserve fund. We need to see capital fund. It's a business. We need to see it. So, yeah.
Donna, I didn't see the audit. Is the cash invested, or is it really listed cash, like sitting in it?
So so you're better at this than I am, but this is you don't have your hands on, you don't have any chance, yeah, so
It's invested.
maybe you should read it out so the public can see it.
The relief fund, right?
Okay, well, but
On top of the, yeah.
So.
we just need to ask these questions.
Right, and my question would be, do they have policies that they can show us that regard those funds, then the use?
We can ask, but I would not hold my breath. Because, no, only because they're still integrating.
They're still integrating, so they're changing a lot of stuff. So I'm not sure that they would
But
have
we can
anything.
ask, but we can ask.
Correct. They eventually should have these things, but we will ask and we will ask.
Yeah.
I just don't know how quickly we would get that information.
But so do you want to read out to what's there? So just so.
Yeah,
Because
I'm-
yeah, Dawn can't see it, no, and then neither the public. So just in terms of this is just West Groves. Just remember, I have nothing to do, we don't have Avondale.
Right, in their assets, they have cash and cash equivalents of $2.766 million. They had a certificate of a deposit in 24, it's gone in 25. This is as of the end of 25 too, not 26.
December 20.
Right, they have property, plant and equipment of almost $5 million, 4.972, and other assets, an antique fire engine for $135,000. And their only debt that they have listed is, it looks like it could be a loan for $358,000.
That's, as I said, that's West Grove. I don't know what Avondale brings to the table. There may be a bit more debt with Avondale. I think there is based on the budget that we're going to be looking at.
There's a lot more detail.
Right. All right, so that was some good feedback. Okay, and then we go to the next page. Okay, so at the beginning of the next page is I. So what I would be asking, Stacy, if you can follow me on this one, the final budget incorporating the committee's comments shall be provided for the committee's approval 2 weeks prior to the September meeting.
So I have an issue with this.
Okay, go ahead.
If they're not giving us a draft budget until, if we're meeting monthly August, if we're meeting in July, if they're meeting in July and giving us the budget in July, that's great. If they're not, and they're giving it to us in August because we're meeting monthly, that's going to mess up municipalities being able to get back to their boards and discuss the budget before we have to vote on it in September. So they have to give us that budget in July, regardless of our meeting.
Perfect. Okay, good feedback. Good feedback. Okay, good. So Stacy, did you get the final budget incorporating the committee's comments shall be provided to the committee's approval September meeting? I wanted to be clear, and I hope we can get this through. This should not be a one-way process. It shouldn't be July, the budget shows up, we look at it, we talk about it, and then it goes away. Like we're gonna make comments. We're gonna want changes. We're gonna say, spend more here, spend less there. What about this? I'm hoping it's a give and take that then it gets incorporated into the budget that we see again to look at. That's my wish.
That should be happening when they give us our quarterly reports.
Well, we're gonna find out tomorrow if once we meet and talk, if they actually listen to us. Yeah. So it's a good, what we're doing tomorrow is a good test case, but I think it should be a give and take. Sorry.
Wednesday.
Nobody show up at the fire company on Tuesday.
Wednesday.
Okay. All right. So that's it for I for that one. Then payment procedures is number 14, and the committee shall continue to provide quarterly appropriations to the Southern Chester County Fire Rescue and shall prepay a quarter in advance. I want to have, so I wanted to add another comment to this, but let me just make the statement first and see if the board agrees. When we talked about the different governance models, have associated with them different funding mechanisms and different ways of calculating funding. And an agreement that seemed to be get at the last meeting with the municipalities that the funding formula stays the same for the next 2 years. So you're not going to get another bill things will stay the same. And that will give us time to go through that. So I wanted to add a line. It would be item B. Funding formula remains the same during the interim agreement. So I just want to make sure that I want to call it out very clearly that that's what we agreed to. We're not making any changes to it. Okay, everyone? Okay. All right, good. All right. So
Is that a normal thing in business to get your money prepaid a quarter in advance?
It depends what business, right?
Not to me. I mean, I've not seen that before.
they got to pay people. I don't.
It depends what business you're in, right?
Yeah, but your payroll's met. Man,
So I think it's I think it's reasonable to get the money up front because they got to pay their people and they have bills and.
That's how we're paying them
Yeah, now,
currently,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So it just stays the same as it has been.
All right, what I'm gonna do is, Stacy, you're gonna send me what you have. And then I'm gonna send it out. I'm gonna look at it and then send it out to the board. Do not, we don't talk amongst each other, but if you could say, that I want to said, make your comments and then get it back to me.
I just want
Okay.
to, so everybody knows that's looking at the screen, 15 through 23 are things that are typically in these kind of agreements, but may not apply to what we're doing, like insurance and workers' compensation coverage is not going to apply. And it's stuff that we have not discussed in the committee meetings yet. So those are still details that we can hash out. And some of that, like the insurance and workers' compensation, will obviously not be part of our agreement because we don't need that. So they're just placeholders at this point.
Thank you. All right, so now I'm going to move to another topic, and this is going to be the budget itself. Okay, is the board okay to move?
Yeah.
Move on? Okay, so I just created a couple slides just to kind of give an overview of my sense of the budget. But I promise you, once I go through this, I think just 6 slides, and they'll be quick. We'll go through the budget line by line and get the board's comments. Okay. All right, let's go to this, Jeff. Okay, here we go. So, just it's our August update. Can't believe it's August. Next slide. So background, just to remind everybody what we're talking about. We have West Grove and we have Avondale. They voted to consolidate their organizations. They are determined to have this done by the end of the year. They actually think they might be having it done sooner than that. And the name of that company is Southern Chester County Fire Rescue. As requested, and I am extremely thankful that they've done this, the fire companies have sent to all the municipalities they serve a proposed budget for 2027. It is not perfect, but at least we have some numbers and we have a sense of where they're going. The municipalities are going to meet on Wednesday to discuss the budget. So we're going to meet with the fire companies, and I have it down there at 5 p.m. And the objective of today's meeting is to hear the board's perspective on the proposed budget. So that's what we're here for. That's our background. So when you look at all the little numbers and you go through them, you're going to see. I know there's a bunch of numbers on this table.
Yeah, we do.
You don't have what? No, you don't have the slides, but you have the numbers.
The slides are up on the screen.
Yeah, they're on the screen. So they're just taken from the.
Yeah, summary, but yeah, I didn't.
Yeah. So these are all in your, if you have your little paper thing, if you have your little sheet, all the numbers are here. So my comment is, if you looked at income for 2026, their numbers are incorrect on the table. It really was $6,204,893. That was the total income for 2026. The total income for 2027, based on their numbers, is $6,080,693. Okay, so if you look at just on income, I'm not arguing whether these numbers are correct or not, whether what they wrote for income is correct or not, but just in terms of what the income is, there's a reduction of income about $124,000 that we're going to have to figure out. The thing that, just so you know, that what they did was they did not increase the amount of money the municipalities are giving the fire companies or EMS. They kept that amount the same. So that's just the way they worked it. Okay. And that's where you get those numbers there. They're exactly the same as they were in 2026. So that gives you a total of $3,570,000 for contributions. Okay, go ahead.
Just a question. Is there any grant income reflected in
Not
their figures?
Not here. It isn't, you'll see it, we'll go through that line by line. Yes, it is. They do have grant income in here. Okay. That, just want to paint the picture. We're already looking at a deficit. I'm only comparing year to year of $124,200 when you look at the income for 2027 compared to 2026, assuming the municipalities provide the same amount of money for the fire company EMS as they did in 2026. Just want to set that statement. Then I also want to remind the board and the public, what kind of money are we talking about? So Franklin Township, we contribute over $300,000 to the fire companies and EMS So that's 310,000, and we contribute $31,961 for Medic 94. So it's about 350 of our tax money, and that's most of our real estate. I mean, it's quite a bit of our money goes to fire service. Important service, we have to do it. But the numbers we're talking about are big numbers for us. So just want to make sure you're aware of that. So then when you looked at the 2027 expenses compared to 2026, if you looked at the budget, if you did, you could see they do it column to column, right? And so all I did, once again, I'm not arguing about whether these numbers are right or wrong, or whether they're spending too much or spending too little. I just want to take you through where the increases are. And the key areas that you're going to see some major increases, one is going to be item 5214, career staff. That's up $338,352.46. And that's driven by an increase in payroll EMS staff of 234,000 plus, an increase in payroll fire staff of $76,000, and then medical benefits that are going up. And I'm only talking increase now, right? The actual numbers that are being spent are millions of dollars. We're going from, for the payroll career EMS, if I just look at that line, we're going from $3 million, $3,162,894 in 2027 versus $2,928,606. So you can see we're talking big numbers here. So that's the big driver, is the career staff. Fuel has also gone up, and you can't, I mean, fuel is it's just expensive. It's just going up quite a bit. So that's about a 25% increase. Insurance has gone up, and that's being driven by workman's compensation, and the workman's compensation, I would believe, we'll find out on Wednesday, is linked to the career staff. So if you increase your career staff, I believe you're going to increase your workman compensation. We're also seeing some increase in professional fees. I'm not clear what's driving that increase. But it is going up by $21,000 if you compare 2027. And Mary, you made a good point, budget to 2026 budget. I'm not comparing spent budget to spent. And then new apparatus, they typically put aside $425,000. At least they did that in 2026 for new apparatus, and they hiked that up $25,000 to $450,000. So just on this differential between 2026 and 2027, you're seeing an increase of about $469,000. So if you go to the next page, next slide. So now there was some decreases in other expenses. So really, if you look at totally, your increase in expenses for 2027 is about $463,000 or $464,000. Your decrease in income is $124,000. And so there's a potential shortfall of $588,000. That's the money that all 10 of the municipalities are have to figure out how, assuming they don't pull back on anything, it's $588,000 is a deficit that we're going to have to make up. And just, I'm making some assumptions here. I don't want to scare anybody because we have not heard anything from them yet. We have to have that conversation. But just for your information, when it comes to budget requests, Franklin Township contributes about 8.7 of the funds requested from the municipality. So 8.7 of that $3,573,000 that we talked about comes from us. And so if the municipalities, and I'm making an assumption here, if the municipalities have to make up that shortfall of $588,000, that means we're going to have to come up with $51,000 ourselves, which would be a 16.5% increase over 2026. No, they have not told us this. They have not asked for this. I don't want to tell you that's the case, but I'm just saying, based on the budget, based on what happened to the income, what happened to expenses, what I can project as a shortfall unless something changes, there's quite a bit of money to make up. And it could be a significant burden to us. In addition to, it's already costing us a lot to pay what we pay now. All right. Should I stop here, or do you want to comment, or do you want to take all the way?
I'll just make one quick comment. Thank you for summarizing this, first of all. And I know some of the amounts are larger and some of them are not so large. But I think if we add a percentage increase from year over year, the percent tells a story too, right? Especially if it's legal fees and it goes up by 50%. Why?
Right.
Or something like that. But everything adds up to the 600,000. So they'll drive the questions when we start talking.
Okay, we'll do that. Okay. So let me get to the next slide and then I'll turn it over to the board. What to cut? Like, so if we don't want this, right? And I don't expect any answers. I'm just thinking what I kind of looked at as I was going through it. Because we don't know what the reserve fund is, we don't know what the different funds they have. How much do you need for long-term planning? What do we do with that? They also have a capital project improvements of $80,000. How do we comment on that when we don't know what their capital project improvement budget looks like or what their plan is? We talked about career staff. Right now it's $4 million, up to $4 million. Their insurance, it's hard to mess with insurance because these guys are I'm sure they need this stuff, but it's some number. And then they have a new apparatus fund of $450,000. And then I conclude with, just to remind everyone, there is this cash and cash equivalent of $2,766,000 that's floating around there. That is something that we also need to keep in mind. So that's the big overall picture, but now we can go look at the budget itself. Okay. All right. All right. So, oh, great. Do you want to put this up and as big as you can make it? And I just want to go line by line. Everybody have theirs? All right. First one, I don't know if you want me to read it or store income, maybe a little bit bigger. Can everybody see it? Are you guys good, public? Okay. So store income, they kept it the same. I can't comment on this number.
So the store bothers me.
Okay, go ahead.
They're bringing in 2,400, but it cost them 2,000 to run it. So they only really bring in $400. And in 2027, they're projecting it's going to cost them over $3,000 to run it, but they're still only thinking they're going to bring 2,400 in, which means the store is costing them a bunch of money. So why are we keeping a store? And what do we have in the store? What is the product that we have and how much does that product cost? I'm sure it's t-shirts, blankets, things like that they do for giveaways and for sale at like different events and whatnot. But how much money do we have in product sitting?
Yeah.
Can we go to like a print on demand kind of thing so that we're not having product sit and cost money? Why is it costing us money to run the store? Is it because it's an online store and we're paying fees? Like, I want to know.
No, these are all questions. This is all good.
I want to know where all that is going.
Good. I like that. And I know it's little, but everything adds up.
Right. I know it's little. I get that. But it was one of those things that like, you can't just say store income and store expense and not explain what the store. Like,
No, it's good. Okay.
yes.
So then we go into fundraising, because fundraising, I think it's 22,500, but there's a big cost to do fundraising, but I don't know if you want to comment on fundraising.
I did play with the numbers with fundraising. They are bringing in more than they're spending,
Okay.
significantly bringing in more than they're spending on the fundraising. Okay. But I don't know that their projected numbers that they're going to bring in double what they brought in last year is going to be very accurate. I mean, that's wishful thinking at best, I think. Unless they have some big plan that they haven't told all of us about.
Golf, chicken, barbecue.
Because they're saying that their golf outing and chicken barbecue income is gonna go from $11,000 to $22,500 in 2027. That's more than double.
That kind of gets back to your statement, Jim. These things that when they said they're going to double something, why? Yeah. Okay, then fire company drive income. I don't even, they're hoping for it to be a little higher. So that seems reasonable? Okay, good. Okay.
Compared to the other funders.
Okay. And then the ambulance fund drive, another one that's modest increase. Okay, and then just stop me, donations unsolicited. Yeah. Okay, and then just stop me. I can't comment. I didn't know what this is.
I'm sorry. Everything seems fine except for that fundraising is double. So everything else seems like they're being, yeah.
Maybe like the golf events every other year and they make money from that. I don't know. We have to ask.
Okay. Okay, so then as you go through the next section, I will start with the I can't even see, 4019, the municipal EMS donations. You can see our number here for Franklin Township. But if you go down to the end of that column, you see 402723 municipality. We're in that box. So that $1,095,000 box, we're in there. That,
So let me explain what that, because I don't think anybody's understanding.
Okay.
So where they did that with the 23, I think it's this municipal 23, right?
that's
Yeah,
Avondale.
23 so that's Avondale. Avondale didn't give us a breakdown of each municipality. So when they merged their two budgets, West Groves is broken down by municipality, which is what you see listed first. And then you'll see that 23 muni, which is 23 municipal. That's Avondale's money that came in, that $1,095,920. That's what came from Avondale, from what all the municipalities pay them. They just didn't break it down by municipality.
But we're in there. We gave $28,000.
Yeah.
I just want you to think, we give a lot of money. I mean, we would love to, but I mean, it's important, but it's there. And as you can see, you just assume, the assumption is that we'll give the same, their starting point is that we keep it the same. So they did not hike it up for 2027. And then EMS trips, this gets back to, I think, Mary, you made this comment too, that they get money back for, through insurance for some of these trips. And you can see there's an income associated with that. Which is interesting because Medic 94 says those numbers are going to go down, but at least for their work, but they have it up $107,000. I don't know if you want to, should we ask about that?
I mean, we can ask about it. From listening to Medic 94, they're not getting money back from the insurance companies, or a very, very tiny portion of what the costs were they'll get back from the insurance companies, but they're tied in with the fire department. So I think for Medic 94, they're not getting paid unless the fire and EMS get paid.
Okay. And then the next one is the fire contract. So as we talked before about the monies given by the municipalities for EMS, now we're talking about what money goes for the fire companies. And you can see Franklin's down there for $191,000, but $363,000. You got it, Nancy? And then just like we did before, if you go further down at the end of that column, you're going to see Avondale Fire, and we're in that $550,000.
Why isn't Londonderry in?
Londonderry only receives EMS
Okay.
services. They don't receive fire.
And then your line is grants. Do you see it next, Nancy?
What do they,
90,000.
I'd ask why.
Why not? You
Why
think?
did they think they'll get that much?
Oh, they already have an application in. They worked with New Garden Township. I do believe it was New Garden. They had their grant writer assist the fire company to go after grants. And so they're waiting. I think they're supposed to hear back next month, I think they said, as to whether or not they'll get that grant. So they're assuming the money is coming. They just haven't been.
And then we have membership dues of $450. And it's the same as the year before. And then rent income, I don't know the properties as well as some other folks, but property number 2, they have all the numbers are the same, $18,000. The tower, $30,000. And for is the medic building, is that 16.5? So it looks like they're just carrying those numbers over that they got in 2026. All right. And then as you go down to interest, it's 13,000. And this is an interesting number. I don't know where this number came from, but you see under the interest box, there's a box that says miscellaneous. And if you move over, remember, we're still in income. So you want these numbers. It's $276,000 for income. Our Melissa thinks it's a fire truck that was sold, or an engine that was sold. And you're not going to see that. You're not going to pick that up in 2027. But that's why the income in 2026 is turning out to be a bit more than what we're getting in 2027, because they had that $276,000 there. Yeah. And then there's a line called career reimbursement. I'm not quite sure what that is, but it could be. Melissa thought it might be work that they do for different events. I'm not sure, but the numbers are the same between the two budget. If someone has an idea what that is.
I think Melissa said it was from them doing different events like the New Garden Fire Show and the
Why call?
and the mushrooms. Because what they do is they technically donate their time to be at these events on call
career
in case they're needed. And
Okay.
then that event then reimburses them through donations to pay for their time that they were at that event. And they also, I think some of the reimbursements comes back from training. They get money back for the different trainings that they do and things of that nature.
Thank you for that. Okay, so that's all the income. So any income questions? All right. All right, now we're gonna move, and we can always talk to them about how can they increase their income, but I don't have any ideas. Maybe somebody else does. Maybe that's part of the strategic plan that they're gonna put together. So now expenses, the first line I have a number for it, but it says long-term planning, $50,000, and for some reason they put it down to $25,000 in 2027. I don't know what they mean by long-term planning.
My guess would be they had a consultant come in and help them do a strategic plan or something.
We haven't seen any evidence for that, but I think part of the long-term planning, and it was more expensive in 2026 is because they're paying for the merger.
Oh, so it could be the merger.
Yeah.
Okay, the merger, okay.
What expense might that be? What expense might that be?
For the merger?
Mhm.
So they have to pay lawyers, they have to pay,
Have a consultant.
they have to have a consultant, they have to go through, everything has to be signed off by the Attorney General. There's a lot of reports and things that need to be filed, things of that nature. So until all of that is done, they're still spending money on these people, helping them get to the final consolidation. Plus you have the bank accounts that need to be accounted for with, and they can't close certain accounts. So Avondale and West Grove can't close their accounts out for at least one calendar year after the consolidation. Because in case money comes in that had been delinquent, they need those accounts open or they'll lose that money. So they're still paying for all of that to be taken care of and managed.
If all that is in that line item, it's pretty cheap. It's
Yeah, I don't think it's, I think it's.
I don't know that it's all there, but.
I think it's probably just the consultant and some legal fees, because there's more expenses throughout. Yeah. Okay, and so then but I would let, they should tell us this stuff. There's career gear and related, so that's about the same. It's slightly higher in 2027. Career gear. Yeah,
Stuff they wear, protective.
yeah.
Yeah.
But we talk about that later too. You get some of this, it's not the only time that you get gear. And then there's interest. So there's interest, this must be some loans that they have. So there's a ladder interest, there's a loan for WSFS. There's for the engine, and that 23 is Avondale, and an interest, something for the mortgage. So there is some debt here that
Yeah,
they're not very clear on.
Yeah.
And then the ambulance fund drive, so it's $19,000 to do the ambulance fund drive. That was bringing how much in? 164,000. So it's less than 10% that that's for expenses. And they have fire fund drive. That's like 18,000. And that's, once again, it's like that's about 10%. I don't do fund drive. So Dawn, is that about right for what these talks about 10% to get money? I don't know. I don't know how it goes.
I think that's high, but.
Okay. Think it's high? Yeah. And then for the ambulance, there's some Medicare reimbursement, but why is that an expense? Shouldn't that be ALS medical reimbursement? Does anybody know why? Medicare, why would that be an expense as opposed to ALS Medicare? I don't, can I ask? I'm going to ask about that. I don't know what that is.
the word reimbursements. Right, but the word reimbursement shouldn't be there if it's just an expense, right? Who are they reimbursing? Yeah.
Oh,
They get reimbursed by Medicare.
But it could be that you're using a service to do all of
I was just gonna say, it could be medical.
it's a service. Oh, okay.
Oh.
They pay a percentage of.
Oh, to do the billing, for the billing.
No, we can ask.
Yeah.
They do have a
Billing agent.
Right.
Yes, it shouldn't be that.
And then they have, yeah, like, I don't know, is that a lot of,
Just have to ask, that's all.
Yeah.
It's not, we're not gonna figure it
I
out.
know they're not changing, like, they're keeping the numbers the same, but billing agent expenses, I know it is expensive, right, to manage all these costs and getting all your reimbursements. Ambulance supplies, I'm not gonna argue with that.
So, I mean, when you talk about the billing agent, that's one of the questions we ask when we're talking about payroll, right? How many administrative people do they have? And can their administrative people possibly do this work?
Yeah.
Right, right.
And with the ambulance supplies, I know we don't want to argue with how much they're spending to put stuff on the ambulance, but when we were in the Medic 94 meeting, remember they said they work with the hospital to buy things in bulk to save them more money. I don't think the fire and EMS are doing that. It could be a cost savings if they go through the hospital when they order their supplies.
So then we get into the apparatus, and they have their a lot of equipment that they have to take care of. So that I don't know numbers, but didn't seem crazy. Mechanic tools and equipment, 20,000-ish. Apparatus, other, ambulance. I don't know. Yeah, and then when the chief 22 and assistant 22, so that
Those are their
vehicles, right?
vehicles. Yeah. Right. It's oil changes, maintenance.
Okay. And then we just get a bunch, so that, yeah, all the engines and squad and tankers, ladders. Oh, so, okay, so I'll just go, so then you have, I'm in the next page, I might have gone too far, but it's number 23, apparatus expense. I think this is another situation where Avondale puts all theirs together in
Yes.
one big lump.
Yep.
So that's why you're seeing 52,000, and they actually took a cut of $14,000. And then, car wash.
sold the engine.
Mhm.
Is that what that would be?
Yeah.
So is one less thing where, okay, I don't know. So the apparatus, is actually a little less in 2027 than 2026. Okay, and then, the next line item I see is capital projects and improvements. Not quite sure what that is. Maybe it's just money they put in, like we do our reserve fund, it's $80,000, and they kept that the same. Then they have some bank fees.
So they're paying PayPal because that's how they take donations. And that's how, like, so they're paying fees on all their donations when they're done through PayPal. And I think maybe there's easier ways to do that. And I know there's like, they're a nonprofit. There should be a way for them to not have to pay the fees.
Right.
And again, I know it's a small number in the grand scheme of things, but
Oh.
and I don't know why we're paying $3,000 for other bank fees.
That's
other
what I
bank
want to
fees?
know.
Why are you paying bank fees at all?
It could be wire fees or something if they have to send money to somebody via wires. So we could ask that too.
Okay, so then comes to the big nut, and that's the career staff. So, I kind of alluded to this in my slides, that, you can go through it. There's another uniform allowance, so I'm not clear about all this. We talked about equipment and uniform before, but some uniform allowance, but that's not where the increase is coming from. It's coming from career EMS. I don't know what's driving. First of all, I don't know how many people they have, so I just don't know. I know we can look, but, or ask, but that's $234,000 increase. Is that just salary increases? Is that additional people?
So remember when we were at the Medic 94 meeting and their increase in their career people went up because remember they said they haven't given raises or been competitive in retaining their employees for so long that they went back and reevaluated so that they're matching and getting up to where everyone else's standards are, increasing so that they can keep and retain their career staff without that career staff deciding I'm going to go become a nurse and leave, or I'm going to go to a different. So it's probably the same thing with this EMS service that Medic 94 did, where they're just trying to bring everything back up to where everybody is to retain who they have.
So it could be, we don't know. And the good and bad of that is if that is what it is, which is possible, that means this may not be new people. And we need to find out from them how many new people they're anticipating, because that just means our numbers are going to get in, and maybe not in 2027, but we're still going to be looking at dramatic increases. We're not leveling off anywhere. I don't know. I would, I think we need to get some more information on what that is. $234,000. I don't know how much EMS people make, but it's not going to get you a whole lot of people, right? So, and you're going to have to give raises. So some of it has to be for raises. So it's, yeah, I don't, I know these numbers scare me, but it really, when you look at salaries, and it doesn't get you that, it doesn't buy you that much. This is just expensive. I don't know what else to say. Let me open it to the board. Does the board want to comment on any of these? Any questions you want us to ask?
Yeah, I don't have any comments, but where's the Avondale in this group?
So technically, this is all of them rolled into one now.
So okay,
So they combined
So
their staff
okay.
and went off of Avondale's staff was doing this and Westgrove's was doing that. We're now making them equal and leveling out. I would assume if Avondale was getting paid less or Westgrove, whatever, they'd level everybody to the same, pay and then merge them all into one. And that's what we're looking at here.
We don't, I mean, we know that it is the same. I mean, that this is a consolidated budget, but we still don't know where the money, why this money is going here. Is it leveling? Not hard to believe because they just did it for Medic 94. Right. And it is being driven by EMS. There's, the fire company is 76. But this is even when, it's interesting when you look at what the increase is, it doesn't really even give you the opportunity to figure out, do we even have the right number of people now? Like, is how this stuff is portioned out? Does it make sense? I mean, I don't know those answers, and I don't know if we'll ever get those answers on Wednesday night. But someone need to get a sense of who they have, how many people they think they need. Maybe this goes back to the 5-year plan, but we need to get a sense of what their vision is for the future.
Yeah, I mean, for 2 years, we're gonna have a committee of all these municipalities looking at this. This is like a baseline that we're trying to get and to understand what's gonna happen in, the next 20, 30, 40 years, right? So we never looked at this before in this much detail. So this is what they have to understand.
Okay, the next, Dawn, are you okay? Good.
Yeah.
I know it's the next thing is communication. I don't know, communication is really important. They got to be able to talk to each other. They got to be able to answer our, if we call them to be there. So, it's not overall not that much of an increase. I don't know if anybody wants to comment on this, but, this has to work. Yeah. Then they have equipment. That's a nice general term. I don't know what that means.
I guess. And contributions.
Yeah, good.
Shouldn't contributions be money out? How is it money in?
Contributions is money out.
This is
So
expenses.
this is
They're giving it to
expenses.
somebody else.
Okay.
They're putting money aside for a scholarship
Got
and
it.
whatever contributions other is,
Yeah,
not sure.
It's minimal money,
But yeah.
but, yeah. So then the fuel, and like I said, I can't argue with that. Anybody's going to the gas, putting gas in their cars. It's going up and 25%.
Yeah, so that's not increasing.
Yeah, you kind of get that one, right, Jim?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to argue with them on that. This one I don't understand, but it's not a whole lot. Dues and membership. That's an expense. I don't get it. It's not that much money, but I don't understand what that's about.
It looks like it's for it says golf outing, so
So
is that a
we
golf
pay for it?
course?
I don't know. I don't know.
They probably have to pay a fee to be on the, yep,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay, and then this other thing, there's a lot of food going on, but I guess we gotta feed our fire. Gotta feed our fire guys. There's like $41,000 worth of food. They kept the amount of money the same. I want them to be happy. I don't know. Yeah, keep them nourished, hydrated. I don't know. Next big lump, is insurance. That's being driven by workman's comp. You can see a $40,000 increase in that line. And then at the very end of the box, the same thing as we did before, Avondale's fire, you see 23 fire insurance. Once I think that's just Avondale's lumping it all together. And you're seeing that they're getting an increase, 17.5. So then we get into professional fees is the next one, and this one, same thing that's happening here. You have the different fees. They don't seem, I mean, you need an accountant, you have legal, they seem kind of low to me. But the professional fees, 23, I think that once again is Avondale putting all their stuff together. What I don't understand is why Avondale went from 36,000 in 2027, or it was 24,000 in 2026, and they went to 36,000. Why? What's driving the 12,000? Might be legal fees, okay, yeah,
Yeah, there was a little issue.
okay. That they're trying to rectify? Okay, I don't need details, that's fine.
Yeah. No. He got in trouble for inappropriately.
It was in
the news.
Okay, all right, so that's professional fees.
Donna,
Go
I
ahead.
just looked up the CCCA for the dues, and it's the County Fire Chiefs Association, local chapter. So they have to pay for that, right?
All right, and then we get into maintenance, I guess, for the different buildings. Which is actually where are we getting the money from? I mean, it's, so the Kimball's, it's all kind of low until you get to maintenance other. And
That's Avondale.
I don't know what that is, yeah.
My guess is maintenance other is Avondale's, well, it's not all, Station 23 is Avondale, so I
That's
don't know
station-
what maintenance other is.
So maybe we need to ask that, it's only because it's such a large number. I don't want, yeah, what is this? Okay. But all the other numbers are so little, like 1,000 here, yeah, and then you're coming up with $93,000? Yeah. Okay, that's a lot of money. Okay, and then we get, okay, that's maintenance stuff. Now, new apparatus, this looks like it's money that we're putting into some kind of capital fund. I don't know, we can ask, but it looks like it's something that they put aside. I know the apparatus is extremely expensive, so they got to put significant amount of money aside. But that's going up by $25,000. Office supplies seem I mean, it's not that much. I don't think, but do you want,
I'm sorry, the question on new apparatus is if a fire truck costs $500,000. Wait,
It's like 2 million.
so this is this would be the cost of the loan this year, like each year, right?
No, I think this is money they're putting away to buy new apparatus. It's to reserve
It
money,
might
so
be
when
reserved.
if a truck breaks, they have the money to turn around and go and buy a new one.
Yeah.
Because they do cost like $2 million.
Yeah, that's what we keep on going back. We need to see what their capital fund is, what their reserve fund is, what the various funds are, because where's this going?
What this means.
Yeah, where's it going? We were doing office supplies. I promise, we're almost towards the end. Taxes, yeah, if you figure out how to get out of that, but once again, I don't think they're that crazy. Then we're into more taxes, training. It's $32,000 for training. I think that's just something that they're always doing. They gotta be trained, that things change. Travel, $7,000 isn't that crazy for travel. And then uncategorized expenses, $2,100. Yeah, I don't know what that is. And then more uniforms. I don't wish they would put them all together in a big category. Utilities. It's about $66,000 for the different sites. Once again, I don't want to go too fast, but I don't know what else to do for that. And then there's volunteer firefighter retention. There's various, yeah. It's hard, yeah. They have family day outing, $15,000. They have stipends, $134,000. Christmas party, $6,000. Uniforms and more uniform and allowances. Fire, police mileage, retention. I don't know what to comment on that. I guess
I'd like to know more about
The stipends or
The
what?
stipends.
Yeah, I actually asked that question.
So the stipends for volunteer firefighters, they can't pay them outright. So what happens is they're allowed to take, there's a specific percentage. I don't remember the percentage, but there's a specific percentage of what they pay career firefighters that they're allowed to give as stipends to the volunteers. And I know West Grove and Avondale have said repeatedly that they're on the lower end of the stipends. Like say, I'm making this number up, I don't know, but say they're allowed to pay 10% of a career firefighter's yearly income as stipends to the volunteers. And they said they'd be at like, say, like 6%, like they weren't maxing out at all. So they're taking whatever percentage they're using and paying any volunteer firefighters that meet the specific criteria. They have to have so many hours that they're working, so many shifts that they work, things of that nature. And if they meet all of those requirements, then they receive stipends for their volunteer work.
Well, we'll ask about, try to get some more detail on what that is. Okay. So they're not really volunteers then if they're getting paid.
They're not getting paid, they're getting a stipend, and that's different. It's pennies on the dollar at that point. Just
Is
like,
it like reimbursement for gas and things like that?
basically, it's, you know, giving them money for their gas, it's giving them, you know, a little bit of money for food or for whatever, you know.
Like I said, I'm not going to go, I'm sure they have it all. We'll ask, but I'm sure no one's making a fortune on this stuff. Okay. Retention and other. Then we have, and then they have, okay, so then what's volunteer firefighter retention?
That's the total line. So that totals all. the numbers.
That's how they get them. Good,
Yeah.
good, 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 good. Thank you for that. And then, Brandon, this is, I thought was interesting. I thought of you, Nancy, $15,000 to write the grants, I guess, is what we're doing.
That was their grant match.
Oh, it's a grant match.
I think so.
Ah, that makes more sense. Thank you. So I was wondering, why would you pay as much to get, okay, that makes a lot more sense.
Here we go to the store.
Yeah.
That bothers me because now the store is still only bringing in $2,400, but it's going to cost $3,750 to run. So
Good eyes on that one. That point. It's the Avenda's mortgage, okay.
Mhm.
All right. All right, so that's the line by line. There's more behind these, I mean, this is our start, right? We will dig into some of these numbers as when we meet. And this is that deficit. No, I don't believe these numbers.
no.
They don't, so if you go.
Well, because if there's specific spots where if you look back through when they filled out their form, if they're totaling with, like if they're in an Excel thing and they have their formulas and they're totaling, there's spots where they forgot to carry money over. So the totals at the bottom aren't adding up correctly.
But to be, or just so if you have, just to help you out, Nancy, and I promise I'll send out those slides. This number here at the bottom of the page.
Yeah.
The one that says expense totals, the 464,000, that's not far off from the difference in expenses. But you got to remember, there's a difference of about $127,000 in income. So that's where you put those two together, and that's when you get the $588,000 deficit. Because we don't have that, whatever they sold the engine or whatever that $276,000 you don't have. But once again, I don't know, it's not, I don't know if it's you, Mary, or Melissa, but what aren't they spending in 2026? Because any money they don't spend in 2026 is a carryover 2027. We always carry something over, so there should be something and that is part of the fact that we're not doing it what the actual budget is, we're doing it what the projected budget was. So that's another question we want to ask them. What are you actually spending and what do you expect to carry over? Because maybe they are going to carry over $100,000 and that will help.
They may spend more than they budgeted too, so.
Better go to their, that cash thing they got going on. All right, so, we're gonna do public comments on this, but first, and I promise we'll put this up if you want to see it again. I want to give, Nancy a chance to talk, give some good news about money and numbers. And let's talk about, our event in September. So go ahead, Nancy.
So unfortunately, Paul's not here. He's away on vacation. And I hope he's okay because I haven't been here in much from him in the past couple of days. I did stop by Food Lion on an errand today, and they did say that they're going to give us $500 plus have a booth, which I thought was really nice. I think that means they're going to hand out water, but I'm not sure. Yeah, nice. So that puts us over $13,000. So I think we're only going to need to spend about 9,500 right in there. So we will project to have funds left over, and at another time, after the event's over, we can talk about what we might do with such things. I thought it'd be kind of fun just to put on the list to have a next year around July 4 on a Saturday or something, to have a little ice cream social. Low cost,
talk about
community stuff, yeah. So, it seems to be going really well. We've got the stage set up. We've got Ben Franklin coming. Thinking about maybe seeing how much it is to have Betsy Ross come. If she's inexpensive, maybe we'll do it. And I would like the board's permission to go ahead with the Lenape Brass Ensemble. They would play during the first hour, brass, it's beautiful music.
I don't think we just do like a head nod or,
Is that okay? I mean, it's within our.
You raised the money, so I
Thank
think
you.
you're good. Yeah.
Great. I just think it's nice to have a cultural tie to the people who were here before us.
So what does that mean, the people that were here before us?
Oh, the Indians.
I understand. but
Before we.
What does that have to do with the brass ensemble?
Oh, these are Lenape people
Oh, okay.
who
Okay,
make
I
up
gotcha.
the brass ensemble.
I got you. Okay, okay.
So-
I thought it was just their
Yes, even
name.
if they weren't.
I thought it was just their name.
No,
No, I just thought it was their name.
they're not cosplaying. Yeah, so I think everything else is well in hand. I do have to chase down the fire departments to have them have a meeting with us, with Jeff, about where the equipment's gonna go, so that's.
Okay, so we did have that meeting with Medic 94, excellent group of people, but they love to come out to these events, so
Is it?
Medic 94, they'll come out and do CPR or do
Great.
whatever you want them to do.
So-
So-
Good.
Yeah, they would like to have if you contact them, or I guess, did we already, we kind of talked to them about it, but I think
Before?
just, so we send them an
Because both of
email.
the chiefs are very keen on it, so.
So Medic 94 is separate from the fire
Separate,
company.
Okay.
I can send you some
And-
contact information.
And if you send them an email and say, this is the event we're having, they love to come out and do
Great.
public engagement.
Terrific.
So they're always looking for new opportunities to get out and do that.
Thank you, appreciate it.
You know, I'll say Food Lion did a really nice job the last time too. They had a great table. I can't remember what they gave away, but everybody.
They gave away bubbles.
Everybody had stuff from Food.
They
Lion.
had, they gave away, I got like cereal bars and like.
Yeah, I
They had a
water and-
mascot also,
What's that?
the Food Lion
Oh,
mascot
yeah, that's
walked
right.
around.
Yeah.
But the girls had a crush on Stefan, so we'll see how it goes.
Jeff. Jeff.
And they had given us through their donation, I call them the the red rocket pops, the red, white and blue popsicle pops.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And somehow there was a freezer available. I don't anticipate having that. Jeff?
I know what Nancy's talking about. I had asked that person and he had declined for this year. I did ask.
I have
We had,
I have an extra one. I could bring it. A chest, like a chest freezer.
perfect.
Okay.
That would be
Rock.
lovely. I will let them know that we have that option available. I don't know how those people stay in business. They've got to be. Every time I go in, there are more workers than there are people in the store. They have like 4 managers. At any rate, we are thrilled with their support and with the support of all the others. I just wanted you all to see how many people in the community have stepped up. We had, I think, 13, so now to be 14 gold sponsors
Fantastic.
who will go on the thing. And I think, I still think the children's parade will be the most fun. We'll see. We're gonna rustle up some kids. But it seems to be going very well. So we haven't hit any obstacles so far.
Do you need anything else from the board? You've got what you need. You got your okay for the band?
Yes,
The-
thank
the
you.
brass ensemble.
That's it.
little statement. We're going to go to public comments again, and then love to hear from the public on everything we talked about today. Or anything else you want to talk about. So the board welcomes public comments relating to tonight's action items on the agenda. Or you can talk about anything. Commenters must state your name and whether you are a resident of the township or non-resident taxpayer to the township. If you don't identify yourself, your comments will not be included in the official minutes. Each resident or non-resident taxpayer will have one opportunity to make a public comment on the action items. Commenters should be directed to the board and not to individual board members or members of the staff. And we'll refrain from addressing your comments as they're expressed, but instead we'll wait till you're done comments and we'll do it at the end. Our sign should not be viewed as agreement with what's being said, but I have a sense this would be a little more interactive than normal. So please, whoever wants to make some public comments, we did do a lot of talking. But even if you just want to tell us your initial thoughts about what's going on with the fire companies, that would be helpful. Have somebody, no, please. Stop, you have to have some comments.
Well, first of all, thank you, Nancy, for the 250 work. And I know she's looking for volunteers and I'll be volunteering. So if there's anyone else that can help her, she's always looking for help. Back to the budget and everything. First of all, I think this was a great meeting. I wish there were a lot more people from our township involved in looking at it, but thank you for opening this up. I do have a couple comments about the agreement and then the budget. So on the agreement, there were a couple items in there. When you were talking about the voting and that the representative and the alternative set the vote, I would recommend that, and it's probably in the ordinance and we're not ready for that, but that voting has to come from the Board of Supervisors and not the individual. And, and that's to me, an important, that they represent the board. And I'm assuming that, yeah. Yeah, when you talked about having bi-monthly versus monthly meetings, I would also put in there on the financial side, they should be providing the committee financials every month. You have to have public financials every month. Any kind of government, quasi-government or nonprofit should be providing you financials, whether you meet bi-monthly or quarterly, however it is, they should be it should be required for them to provide that. And then you talked about having the budgets, like for the July or August meeting and stuff. In a financial world, budgets, and I believe they're a December year end. Right. So they should have their budgets prepared between the fourth quarter in the first quarter, and they should be able to provide you those by the end of the first quarter and not wait till July.
I'm saying for the following year. So when I say July, I want the budget for what they're projecting for the following year.
Right. And what I'm saying is that in the fourth quarter of 2027, they should have the 28 budget completed. You should not be waiting for July. Oh, I'm sorry. They should have them done by the first quarter of 2027 for 2028.
Wow, I don't know any company that does their budget for the following year in the first quarter of the previous year.
You need more information.
Yeah,
But, well,
they don't
I
even
guess in the
start.
corporate world, we had deadlines for the first quarter. Yeah.
Yeah, really, yeah. All the corporations I've worked for, we start the budgeting in like this timeframe, August. We get a cut in September, and then November, we usually have a final cut for the next year. So I don't even know what the fire departments do currently, so we should ask them what they do currently first, and then require.
But what we're trying to do is get it.
You're getting.
Getting it ahead of time so we can do ours.
Right, even if it's
Right.
post budget, right?
Because if you're doing yours in August, September, You need it well ahead of time to analyze it and make sure there aren't issues there.
That's the July.
That's the reason.
And then I would just say, I think that you were very detailed on the budget, the line item and stuff, and I really appreciate that. And I think that there should be pushback based on your comments.
What's interesting is, and I don't, what aren't we seeing? I don't,
Right.
and that's always something.
Right.
And
There-
it may not be, it might not, I'm not saying it's sinister, it's just.
No.
What don't we, because we don't
Right.
know.
And in relation to the budget, the personnel is the huge part of the budget. Of course, we all know that. But I think some of the questions that I would look for the board or the members to ask are, like West Grove has 3 firehouses. How many calls are done out of this fire? I never see a truck out of this firehouse. I never see people at this firehouse. And I know there's some history there and I won't, but how many calls are actually done out of this firehouse? What's the cost of that firehouse? How many calls are done out of the other 2 firehouses, which I do see, both of those firehouses are active and you see a lot of vehicles. With the amount of calls that are being answered from the fire companies, it's under 7,000 calls a year and 5 to 6 of those 1,000 are for EMS. And so some of the questions I would look at is, so Medic 94, I'm not familiar with, I thought that was part of all of them. I didn't realize, is that Southern Chester County Medical Services as well?
It is. So they operate out of Jennersville and then they operate out of
And
Jennersville and they operate out of the Avondale station. They have services that are there.
that's not
So-
Avondale
But they're not,
EMS.
they are not. They're their own unit. So they're basically like, this is how they explained it to us. There's EMS and then there's Medic 94. Medic 94 is like a mobile emergency room.
Do we fund them with our tax dollars?
We do. And honestly, we saw the budget from them last week and their budget is amazing. And it's incredible. And they are very diligent about this is exactly what this cost is for. And this is why we're increasing here. And this is why we're increasing there.
And they won't roll into the
They
Southern
will
Chester
not.
County?
No, they're their own separate.
But the way they describe, the way they work, I thought it was pretty amazing. So they don't go out on every call. They wait to be alerted that they need to be there. So they do the advanced life cert, but the other guys do the basic. And so the fire companies bring the ambulance. They do, I guess they do an initial assessment, or there might be some key words that they have to say. And then depending on what they say, then they'll come in.
They're hitting the trauma
and-
case.
Right, and then they're,
So
but it's good, they're really careful about how they spend their money and use their time.
Because this is all new to me, and I think to the board a lot too. Are you now requesting because you're funding, are you now requesting financials on a monthly, quarterly, annual basis from?
So Medic 94 is already providing monthly reports.
Okay.
They are monthly reports, quarterly reports, yearly reports. They're very upfront. Their meeting last week was open to the public if anybody wanted to come. They were able to give us tours of their new vehicle that they needed to purchase. They're very careful. Like their new vehicle was because the other vehicle could no longer be repaired, not because they just wanted something shiny and new.
Right.
So they're very careful with how they spend their money. They have accreditations that nobody else in Chester County has. They are the top medic unit in the state. And they're the only medic unit in Chester County that's able to do in-field blood transfusions. And they're only one of 3 in the state of Pennsylvania.
Wow.
So they're incredibly,
That's nice to hear. That's really nice to hear.
and they do a
for
lot of public
not-
outreach, including, teaching CPR and they stop the bleed classes. They'll come out to do stuff in the municipalities to teach people to stop the bleed and all that kind of stuff. So,
It's nice to hear.
yeah.
And my only other comment is I know that there is funding through through Pennsylvania, the state, and I didn't see any of that. I think that's part of the relief account that they have, but I would also recommend that there be some research done at the board level to find out what kind of funding they're getting from Pennsylvania and where's it going and what's it doing.
Because that didn't.
And how they
wasn't
get
there.
it, right? How
Right.
They get their share,
Right.
right?
the problem with finances is you can show as much as you want or as little as you want. And if you're not in the throes of it, the things can very easily be, I don't want to use the term hidden because I don't think that there's nefarious activity here, but it can be missed. And I think it's important you're being responsible for the entire township tax process in spending our dollars. And I do appreciate that you're digging into this and not just saying, here we go, here's a check. Thank you.
John, nothing from you?
While John's walking up there, I want to ask a quick question to you guys that have gone to the meetings. Have they brought up like what happens when this giant development goes in a new garden? Like what, have they even brought that up yet?
So basically, it goes back to the formula. When they add houses, it changes their numbers in the formula, right? So New Gardens rates are obviously going to go up now that they've got more houses going in. But it doesn't change anything as far as anything else. Like you would think they'd need more staff or something like that because more population, but they haven't talked about that at all. They've just said they needed to increase career staff.
And I don't know what the delivery of the new housing even is. It could be 5 years from now. So we're not showing up yet. Okay.
My name is Sean Auerbach. I'm a Franklin Township resident, former supervisor. And the comments I have are really just to kind of enhance your ability to understand what's going on here. And one person before me mentioned the same thing here. The voting members should be supervisors, accountable to the voters. These are the members that are on this committee. You shouldn't have appointed members. They're not accountable to the voters. Then I heard some discussion about recusing the vote. Should not be allowed to recuse. If they've got conflicts, they shouldn't even be in there. So they're paid to vote as an elected supervisor and you're paid to vote, yes or no. You can't refuse unless you have some outrageous conflict, which you can eliminate before being selected. I think one thing, looking at the what's going to eventually happen here with an invoice to households for this stuff, this is way down the line right now, but I don't think anybody has any idea how much they're going to pay. They're paying for it right now, but when they see it in an invoice, it's going to be a real issue. So I think transparency is really important. Just doing a quick number, you got 350,000 of expenses for Franklin for this year for EMS. If you divide that by the number of households, maybe 1,400, you got $240, $250 a year. Not a minor expense. So when people get that invoice, they've been paying it now, but when they get an invoice, it'll be a different. So I think the transparency is important. One additional benefit of this interim committee is it develops a working relationship that will be helpful when you eventually have to make the final decision. So the 2-year delay would give you a chance to work with the group with a period of time before you have to make that final decision. Another comment about, whenever a major financial shuffle occurs, and you have one going on here right now, not only are you changing the way you're going to pay for this, but the fire company's merged. So that's very difficult to compare budgets because right now you can't figure it with Avondale or West Grove. And my experience with West Grove is they were far better organized financially than Avondale, always. In fact, Avondale never really gave us, until recently, was never able to give us a really auditable budget. And West Grove started that back in 2015 when we developed that formula. So I'm worried about some of the financial issues that Avondale may have, but now they're just merging it in there and you're going to pick up extra costs. So you need to understand what you're paying for on a merger. I don't know how to tell you to do that. It's just the awareness. Just one thing about the new building. For a long time, West Grove's been looking for replacing the West Grove building, building 22. So I don't know whether you heard anything like that before, but the comments about the London Britain one are valid because the fire company will tell you informally that they probably shouldn't have built that building. So no other comments. What you're doing is a great job. Very difficult to do. Because you remember years ago when we were trying to compare Avon school budgets from year to year, and they reformatted the budget every year. So it's very difficult to compare. This is a much bigger, I'll call it a morass than that. So you got your work cut out for you here.
But John, at least they gave us something, and I'm
Yeah.
truly, and they gave it to us in a timeline that we had asked for. So
Yeah.
I know nothing's perfect, but I think there is a willingness to work together, and I'm hoping that helps.
You got to press them for projections, not necessarily a budget, way in advance, but a projection. So you get continuous projections, so know where they're going, not a real budget, because nobody does. But Jim got it really right, I think. But a projection is not a budget. Okay. No more comments.
Okay. Anybody else? Any other comments? All right. Well, thank you for this. But before you leave, just let me give you a little bit of so this was the fire company budget, and this was a good conversation, and we're going to bring back whatever we learned to our next meeting. But don't forget, we still got to get the budget together for us. So Franklin Township's budget, and we are, as you said, Jim, we're starting to work on that, and so that will be we'll advertise it like Jeff did for this meeting, an upcoming meeting where we talk about what our proposed budget is. Hopefully we'll do the same thing. We'll come out, we'll have something that we can share with you, get your comments, and then bring your comments into whatever we decide is the final budget. But this is it's a challenging year for us, and we are going to have to raise taxes. It's just no way around it. We want to do it responsibly, and we want to do it transparently so that everybody's clear. We're doing it for this reason. Why are we doing it? Okay, that's all. Thank you very much for coming out. Oh, wait a second. Do I have to wait? Do I have to do one of these things? Wait, I have to do one of these things. Wait, do I have it? Yeah, don't have it here. I have it there. Thanks. Okay. So I'm sorry. I always get so excited when things are over. So I make a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting at, what is it, 8:43? And may I have a second for
Second.
Jim seconds it. All in favor, say aye.